I'm using the Anastasia Soft Glam 2 palette, and I'm picking up the shade Incense on a BK201 brush. I'm just going to use the tip of the brush to pick up some of that product, dust off any excess, and then I'm going to start this in the crease. If it looks like I already have product there, it's because when I do my face makeup, I put bronzer and blush up there already. So how I actually apply this is I start in the outer half of my crease, and I just use little stippling motions like this. Once I can tell most of that product is off into the crease, then I will start moving and blending that product up towards the arch of the brow and out towards the tail end of the brow. And I'll just keep going back into the crease and kind of like dusting it outward like that. So that way you get that nice diffused look. And I take this basically all the way up to my brow. If you have hooded eyes, just blend your shadows up higher, and it's going to help lift your eye and make it look more open. Another thing I like to do after I'm done blending out my eyeshadow completely, whatever is left on the brush, I like to lightly go in and touch on the inner half of that crease. I just like bringing in a little bit of depth right here because it changes the shape of my eye at the end, especially when I get the shimmer on my eyelid. I just feel like it helps like close in my eye a little bit more, and then it pops open. I don't know, I just really like the depth it brings in here. And then not only that, it also connects the eyeshadow to the nose contour, and then it just makes everything flow really seamlessly. Using a BK202 brush, and I'm picking up some of the shade Dusty Rose. I clearly love this shade a lot. I think it looks really beautiful with blue eyes, but I think it also really helps tie in like any blush I use. I feel like this Dusty Rose shade just somehow matches it. And that's why I use it actually, is to just really bring in some of those rosy tones from the blush. So I'm basically just adding this into that crease, and then I'm just lightly dusting this all around because I just, again, just want a wash of that blushy tone. Now picking up the shade Huckleberry on a BK211 brush, and I'm going to use the tip to pick up a little bit of that product. I'm only using a little bit because it is such a dark shade that you don't want to add too much at a time, because then you're not going to be able to get it off. So pick up light and small amounts at a time. And I'm just going to start stippling this in the outer third on my crease. And as you can tell, it's just such a small amount of eyeshadow, but we're going to see how far we can blend this out. And I'm now just going to start moving back and forth into that crease to start blending and diffusing out that shadow. And I'll eventually bring this in about halfway into that crease just to create a little bit more depth and dimension here on the outer corner. I feel like it just really helps the eye pop open for my eye shape. It just really helps my eye pop open and create the shape that I really like. So I'm grabbing a little bit more of that shadow because I want to dust it a little bit higher up here on the crease. So I'm basically trying to create the illusion that I have a higher crease over here. So when I put the shimmer on, it's going to show underneath that shimmer, but it's still going to create that illusion that I have a higher crease right here, lifting and giving my eye a more lifted look. Again, this is a really good tip if you have hooded eyes. Just kind of recreate your crease, and then we're gonna slowly diffuse this, like following the same shape as my eyebrow. I'm just going to diffuse this up. We're not taking it as high anymore. You're just creating it just a little bit of that tone up onto the brow bone, and it's just gonna lightly diffuse it out, giving you a really pretty like ombre look. We're trying to recreate your shape of your crease. I like to look straight on into the mirror and create that crease rather than like usually when I tip my head back, when I do my crease, I usually look straight on because now I can kind of see where I'm going to pick up and make a natural looking like crease, if that makes sense. So I look straight on into the mirror, and where I see that the crease starts to kind of fade, I just poked my hair in my eye. But where I can see that the crease is starting to fade, that's where I'm going to kind of pick up and start blending this upward here, giving, again, that illusion that the crease is up like this, and it's going to lift your eye up on this outer corner, giving you a more lifted and like pulled back face lifted look. Warm up this look a little bit more, so I'm picking up the shade Orange Soda on a Morphe M510 brush, and I love using orangey tones to add some warmth into my eyes. So if you have blue eyes, a good tip and trick is adding these little hints of orange brings out your blue eyes a little bit more, because on a color wheel, those are opposites. So oranges are going to make blue eyes really pop. So this shadow, I take the brush on the tip and I'm just going to swirl around, kind of tap around in there because it's empty in the middle, tap off any excess, and then I'm literally just going to fluff this kind of in the center and then upward towards that arch of the brow and out towards the tail end. So I kind of aim this a little bit higher again, because everything, we're creating that illusion that my eyes are more lifted. So I'm aiming this more on top of that brow bone. I'm now going to do my lower lash line before I add any of the shimmers. So I have the shade Incense on a BK203 brush. All I'm going to do is look up. I'm going to actually look in the mirror first, place the brush where I know it's going to go, look up, and then I'm going to look opposite. So if I'm on my outer corner, I'm going to look towards my inner corner. And then as I work towards the inner corner, I'm going to slowly like take my eye and roll it with the brush to go opposite. It just kind of keeps that lower lash line really tight and easier to blend out shadows. I like to take the outer corner and I just kind of like roll it back up into the shadow on that outer corner, just so everything is seamless and it ties together. I'm now just applying Dusty Rose. I'm aiming more on the outer 2/3 of that lower lash line. Again, we're just adding a little wash of that blush toned shadow. This shade, also see that I'm not following the shape of my eye anymore like this. I'm now starting at like that 2/3 mark, and I'm using like little like back and forth motions, and I'm just almost going in a straight line, and I'm just bringing it right out here to connect it to my eyeshadow. So it's now just going to create a nice elongated, like more almond opened eye shape, especially when we start adding in those shimmer shades. I'm using the 211 brush in the shade Huckleberry just to add a little bit of warmth on that outer corner. And then again, I'm just going to roll this up into the upper outer corner to connect everything together so it is seamless. I'm using the 202 brush to pick up some of the orange soda shade to add the warmth to the lower lash line. And this I'm just lightly dusting on the entire lower lash line. I'm now going to use this Pat McGrath Labs. It's the Celestial Nirvana eyeshadow palette in Nude Allure. I'm picking up the shade Mercurial Rose right here on a Morphe M456 brush. If you want a really bright pigmented shimmer, spray it with a setting spray before applying it to your eyes. So now I'm going to tilt my head back so I can expose my entire eyelid, and I'm just going to start by patting this on the center part of my lid, and then I'll start working towards that inner corner. And then once I hit that inner corner, I'm just going to follow it up into the lower part of that crease. And I just like to get the shadow there. And then once all of the shadow is there, then I will diffuse that up into the crease. Again, just bringing it up a little bit higher. So when you open your eye, it is still going to be exposed. I'm applying this on the inner third of the lower lash line. I'm using Tempera on a BK A504 brush for my inner corner highlight. All right, you guys, that was your final look. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to book a one-on-one makeup session with me where we go over personalized tips, tricks, and techniques, you can do that through the link tree in my bio. Also follow me on my other social medias through the link tree in my bio. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next one.